Yay! So here we are for another get together. We got Kim and Nigel. Harry's going to
Hi.
be missing on this one. And I think they both have some good presentations for you. I just did a truth meter today, so I don't really have anything to present here, but I'm going to turn this over to Kim and let you get started. So if you've got stuff to share, I'm just going to make you the host here so you can do whatever you want to do.
Okay,
So
sounds good.
Okay. Well, I think that the whole idea of this, Kim and I were talking the other day on Telegram, and Kim was showing me some amazing stuff that she's put together, and it was so funny, Annie, that the stuff that I was putting together kind of tied in with what Kim was talking about, and it all came from a video that I was a podcast I was watching on BitChute called Before the Flood. I forget which channel it was, and what this guy was talking about was all the what we are told are meteor craters around the world are not. They're not meteor craters. There's no rocks there. They're all geysers. It's if I can go back and find it, I'll put the link. I'll send you the link over, or I'll put the link below. And then he says, go and watch the movie called Noah. It's a 2-hour movie. A lot of it is kind of mainstream, but there's a few truth drops in there. And when the quote unquote God sends the flood, it's not just rain. All these geysers are piling out of the ground and literally flooding the earth. Absolutely amazing. And then it took when Kim and I were talking about, because she'd been working on what she's about to present. So let's over to you, Kim. Let's have a look.
well, let me just comment real fast on that before you start, because I don't want to interrupt your presentation then. But I just, in the truth meter I just did, I was looking into the firmament again, how they're trying to crack it and flood everything. And I keep seeing flood everywhere, flood, Noah's Ark, flood. Like since I did that the last few hours, and now you're talking about that again. So
the
something's going
synchronicity
down.
synchronicity at the moment is off the charts with what's going on.
Okay. Kim,
All right,
take it away.
This is a bit out there, right? It's a bit different, but just to start with, a couple of quotes about water and its nature. So, water is the driving force of life, Leonardo da Vinci. Then we forget that the water cycle and the life cycle are one. Now, I don't know what that means in relation to Jacques Cousteau, but
well, he said it. Obviously, he said it. I mean, Jacques Cousteau was that. He was that submariner. They used to have a program back in the 70s.
Yeah.
On the BBC in the UK about Jacques Cousteau. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, next one is water is life's matter and matrix, mother and medium. There is no life without water. And that was the discoverer of vitamin C. I can't remember his name. Albert Spent Yogi or something.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, this one I've actually presented on my channel before this, but I'll just tell you briefly about this. So in the movie Harry Potter, the last one, Deathly Hallows Part 2, Snape dies. But when he dies, Harry captures his tears in a vial. And then he takes the vial containing the tears to Dumbledore's office so he can drop the tears into a pensieve and he can review the memories held in the water. So bear in mind that tears are salt water too. So presumably the memories are held in the crystal. But what it actually prompted me to think was, what if that's the case in everybody's body all the time? That when we cry, we actually cry out the memory. So the memory can't hurt us anymore because we've actually cried it out. It's not in our body anymore.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but urine's salty as well, isn't it?
I don't know.
tears are salty, urine salty, I think.
I don't know if you're in salty or not. But I know that
Sorry.
tears are, but salt water seems to be different than like pure water.
Hey,
It,
can you
it got
see that? Can you see that thing at the bottom, Truth Meter chat?
Yeah,
You can?
yeah.
What is it? Why is that popping up? I don't even have anything open.
And
That's
that's
it.
me. It's on my computer.
It's on Kim's, yeah.
It comes up
Oh,
regardless of whether
gotcha.
I've got it open or closed.
Did you copy or did you comment on that video or something? Because
No,
No,
that's
that's
just
Telegram.
wild.
That's the Telegram channel that's just popped up. It's just a notification that somebody's posted something in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you must have notifications on your computer then. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, because I was freaking out a little bit. Like, how did they get there? Go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. So I had somebody came one day to the house for a healing. She was in a really, really bad, messed up state. And I spent about the first 2 hours with her where she was just crying, like continuously. And then she actually made the observation that when she was crying through self-pity, that the tears stung. But when she was crying through like clearing the memory, the tears didn't. It's like,
That's
wow,
interesting.
that's
interesting.
interesting.
When you and I were talking the other day, Kim, I mean, I don't know what Annie thinks of this, but you know, we talk about the Akashic records. Could they be held in water?
Well, that's where I'm leading to. You just jumped
Okay.
ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, sorry.
So what if there was a gigantic sinkhole in the middle of the plane of existence that the water every 12 hours got sucked into? That was the explanation for the tides happening.
Yeah.
Tide goes away, tide gets washed back out.
Yeah.
That's Makeda's map, by the way, of the North
Right.
Pole. Then the 12-hour clock's relevant because we've got a 12-hour change from high tide to low tide to high tide. That's actually 6 hours from high tide to low tide, but it changes every 12 hours. So it gets washed away and then spat back out, washed away and spat back out. Then the tidal theory I'm talking to relates to 12-hour shifts in consciousness, that our consciousness was held in the collective, was held in salt water, crystallized. And that each time the tide went out every 12 hours and disappeared in the sinkhole, it re-collaborated to incorporate the latest information that the collective had come up with in the last 12 hours and then was spit back out again. So we could all access the new thoughts and material, ideas and concepts. So henceforth, you could go to sleep at night and then obtain updates while sleeping or in the waking state towards the new reality that had been formed in the last 12 hours. And Nigel and I have been talking about it and said another name for that could be the Akashic records.
Well, it makes you wonder that, you know, when we get these, what Harry and I call downloads, other people call downloads, you know, I normally get mine when, you know, when you first wake up in the morning and
Yeah.
you're not like really awake. Well, you're awake, but you're not like, oh God, I'm going to get up. You're kind of lying there and you're in a half dreamy state. That's when I seem to get all my downloads.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of feel like that. I don't know if this is necessarily Akashic records. I think that's like somewhere in the soul, but this could very well just be the ocean retaining everything. And yeah, you can go there and get the information for sure.
Well, they've always said that crystals hold information. And supposedly the salt water's like made up of crystals. It's crystal, a form of crystal. So I don't know.
I think you can do it with regular water, but yeah, I would say yes, maybe that makes it even more of a storage thing.
So a shift in perspective, the tide is turning. So it's just like a play on words, but to shift your perspective, the tide's turning.
Yeah.
Then in the Genesis video in the land of confusion, he says, too many people making too many problems and there's not enough love to go around. Can't you see this is the land of confusion? this world we live in, these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make a place worth living in. So that whole video is set up in water. Like who's the guy? It's based on Ronald Reagan.
The one with where Ronald Reagan's like
Yeah.
lying down, and there's a duck that kind of swims, a plastic duck that swims across his face because he's immersed in water.
And then there's fish swimming across the windows in front of them. So I was just like speculating that they were actually depicting a world where we're in water. So there's a episode of the original Stargate SG-1 called Revisions. And I clearly remember watching this episode, so I looked it up to see if I could get like a brief synopsis of it. So in this episode, the team go to a place where the whole planet's toxic and the people have built themselves a dome in which the atmosphere is contained and they all live inside the dome. So the episode's definitely worth a watch as it depicts a reality where people are linked in through an attachment to their head. And then outside the dome is toxic. What you don't realize till the end is that they're running out of air and that the Neuralink network to their brain is directing people to walk outside the dome and kill themselves by making them leave the dome in a trance state because it's a Neuralink. And then it resets the memory of the remaining population so they no longer remember that the other people have ever been part of their community. So their brains are continuously reset. I just thought that kind of aligned with what I'm talking about here because we don't know how much we don't remember.
Yeah, totally agree.
I could see them aiming for this. And Sylvia Brown, that psychic that was pretty well known for a while, she predicted that in the future we'd be all living under domes.
Yeah.
I love this play on words. Absolute awesome.
Final one, advice from the ocean. Be sure of yourself. Come out of your shell. Take time to coast. Avoid peer pressure. See life's beauty. Don't get tied down and make waves.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's an awesome song by Supertramp called Hide in Your Shell. You need to look at the people need to look at the lyrics. Maybe I'll pull them up on another video. Right, you want to stop the share, Kim?
I'm working on switching back.
Oh, Kim's
beautiful, beautiful presentation there. Love it.
Thank you.
Now, what you were saying about that living outside the dome and so on and so forth, Harry told me suggested I watch a movie called Source Code. And I'd forgotten until somebody mentioned it on a video that I was watching. And I'm like, okay, so I watched it and oh wow, SOURCECODE, Source Code. Absolutely amazing truth drop. It's based on the idea that when we die, when our physical body dies, there's a period of 8 minutes that our consciousness is still within our body or whatever. And what these guys are doing with these 8 minutes, oh boy, absolutely mind-blowing. Now, before I get into my presentation, I want to tell you girls, and not just you girls, but everybody listening that listened to our last one. You remember my story about the bottle of milk that I talked about last time?
Yeah.
Well, the day after we did that presentation, I was talking to my daughter in Australia, and I was telling her, I mean, she's not asleep. She's not a sheeple. And I was telling her this story, and she went all quiet, and she went, "Oh, Dad, you're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" Her daughter, my granddaughter, has got, she's only got 8 or 9. She's got a favorite water bottle, right? It's a green water bottle. And she takes it everywhere with her. She won't go anywhere without it. And she said, "Dad, she came home from school yesterday. This would have been the Monday, the same, because she's on the same timeline as me. She's in Perth. and she said, Lacey came home from school and she went, oh God, I forgot my water bottle, my green water bottle. I've left it at school. And my daughter said, no, I'm sure I've seen it here. No, Mum, you haven't seen it here. I've been drinking out of it all day. And she went, no, I'm sure it's here. And she went, Mum, no, I've been drinking out of it. I've left it at school. So my daughter went into another room and came back and said, well, what's this then? It was a green water bottle. She said, Dad, you should have seen her face. He said she was absolutely petrified. She froze. She's like, that shouldn't be here because that's in my classroom. So the story that I was telling my daughter, she came back with a similar story that happened on exactly the same day at roughly around the same time, late afternoon. I mean, how freaky is that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Could it be Mandela? Could it be the Mandela effect?
Don't know. I think the Mandela effect's got something to do with these shifting timelines or whatever. But wait till I show you what my mate Jim, just in total innocence, when we were talking the other day. Jim's a good mate of mine. He's from the UK. He's a journalist here in China. Clever little bugger because he can speak Chinese, he can read and write it and so on and so forth. So, and he's wide awake, totally wide awake. And he's good with languages. And he threw something at me the other day that is going to blow everyone away. It knocked me for 6. So let me waste no more time and we'll get into.
Okay, are you going to talk about like the in between death thing? Because when you said that 8 minutes, it was, I remember reading on that, and when we die, they've got a little bit of time to hurry up and trick us before we become fully like in remembrance of who we are and all that stuff. That was interesting. Or are you doing something different?
I'm doing something different because that's what they talk. That's what the source code movie is all about. And I don't want to give a spoiler alert to people. It's not a particularly long movie. It's 1 hour and 20 or something, but it's something that I strongly recommend that you watch. Okay,
why don't we watch it and then have a discussion about it next week?
We could do that. We could do that. Yeah. So this kind of follows on with your ocean thing. And I got this from an awesome channel called Obsidian Alice. She doesn't put a lot of stuff up. This one's from about a year ago. One of our subs made a comment. Oh, Nigel, you got to go and watch this. I'd already watched it. I'm already subbed to her. But let's just see what she says here. There's a couple of spelling errors, but we can forgive her for that. The word and its intent. Words don't describe structures, they describe purpose, performance, and intent. We're encouraged to label everything as if the solid item is the purpose itself. This, for instance, is a tool used for brushing hair. If everyone in the world became hairless, then this would no longer be a hairbrush. Agree?
Yeah.
The word ship. Ship is a word for the act of moving something from one place to another, not the name of a boat. The word ship only tells us the purpose of the vessel, the reason it was built. The Latin word for ship is navis, and of course from that we get navigate, which tells us that the Romans were not shipping goods, they were navigating or traveling in a deliberate direction. The Navy are today's navigators. A Navy ship tells us that it has dual purpose. The nave in a church is the part that you walk down. Navis, navigate, travel. The nave of a church, she just says the point of travel from the entrance to the crossing. Navel, a depression at the axial base of a spiral shell, the hub of a wheel. The depression left behind after separation from the umbilical cord. Umbilicus, a point in a surface through which all lines of curvature pass.
I just did that whole thing on navel, Babel, Tower, Babel.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is how meanings transpose. Current. Okay, so we've got a river current, we've got an electrical current, we've got your current account, and we've got the current time. It's a psychological trick. They can present ways of thinking that get fixed as ideas. Then you'll use them as a barrier to hide the truth from yourself. Nobody can make you frightened, but an idea can be put in your head so you frighten yourself. Derren Brown demonstrates this in his series Apocalypse. The word church is derived from the Greek. I'm not saying that, Harry's not here. Meaning the Lord's house. This sounds plausible at first, but there's one problem. The Greek word is not used in the scriptures. The Greek word ecclesia is. And from ecclesia, we get eclectic. The word church is neither Hebrew or Greek. When these languages are translated into the English Bible, the word church is already in existence. In Greek, the Greek word to use, spelling writing, so the typing is very small. Ecclesia, which basically means called out ones. Ecclesia does not refer to a building rather than a group of people. And she says here, the word ecclesia is related to eclectic, wide-ranging. And she says the Chinese word for church is jiaohui. Well, she's kind of right, but it actually means jiaohui means Christian church. The correct word for church is jiaotang, and jiao means to teach. I'm a Wai jiao. Wai means foreign. Jiao means teach or teacher. And tang means room. It literally means the main room, the biggest room in your house is a tang. So jiao tang would be teaching room. She said she's gone the wrong way around here. She said jiao means a meeting, conference. No, jiao means to teach. And hui here doesn't mean to teach at all. She's wrong, but you know that we can forgive her for that. It's actually jiao tang. Jiao hui actually literally means Christian church. Now, this is interesting. She said, I went to my local church, which was originally founded in 1101. Yeah, okay, there's the ones again. Mick was right. She's talking about a guy from another YouTube channel. Aside from a few headstones dated in the late 1700s, they were all 1800s onwards. Now, this is something we've touched on in the last couple of videos. This is Obsidian Alice, and this is the particular video. If you want to go and watch it, guys, Words Buried in Time. It's not the latest one. It's the second one back. Okay, so just go back one video and you'll find it. Now, we talked about this, and this is something that Alice talks about as well with words and how they all. How it's all connected. We did a podcast a year or so ago where I showed that a cathedral is actually a cathode rao, means black, burnt out. And the word anode, well, what is it? Is it a node? Is it an ode? An ode is a song, and people sing hymns in church, don't they? And then you have a diode. Well, you also have a diocese, a diocese. Diode, diocese, the territorial jurisdiction of a bishop. And if you look in the etymology, it actually says it uses the word government connected to the church. Now, we talked about the number 8, right? And we know that the number 8 is connected to reincarnation, right? And this is where Jim absolutely blew me away. Let's take a closer look at the word reincarnate. Re means again, in means inside, carn means meat, as in carnivore, and 8, we know that's the reincarnation. Wow. Re, again. We, people like David Icke and others talk about us being a spiritual being, having a human consciousness. Our spirit is in meat. And if you don't believe me, there it is. It happens to be Catalan. Catalan is a Spanish, Italian, Roman language. C-A-R-N means meat. And in Spanish, you put an E on the end. Carn means meat. Re, in, carn, and the number 8. Can't make this up. And somebody
you're saying the meat suit. You're saying the meat suit,
That's
right?
the meat suit. Yeah, the meat suit. Absolutely. Again, or even just to incarnate, we are in, our soul spirit is in a meat suit. And it's right there. I mean, people talk about being hidden in plain sight. Nothing's
Wow.
hidden. It was.
Go back one slide for a sec. Go back a slide. Go back
to
one.
the 8.
Yeah. To the one after that. Actually, that one's fine. You see the word meat?
Yeah.
Meat.
Eat. Eat.
Yeah.
Eat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It was Jay Campbell that we were emailing each other, and I mentioned the phrase "hidden in plain sight," and he came back and gave me a right old bollocking. He said, "Nigel, nothing's hidden. It's not hidden. It's right there. You just don't see it." Somebody sent me this. This is kind of off topic a little bit, but it's related in a way. I mean, they say this is a monastery in Turkey's Black Sea province. I mean, just look at that. It's actually inside a cliff, and we're expected to believe that was built like that inside a cliff. Probably around the Hilton Hotel.
Wild.
And then Paul in our Telegram group sent me this, and he said, "Nigel, clones have been around forever." He said, "Have you ever seen one of these guys down the pub? Have you ever bumped into one of these chaps in the old boozer in the UK?" Of course, the answer is a flat no. Oh, he passed out because of the heat. He passed out because of the heat. You there, Annie?
Yeah, I didn't see the clone picture though. I think
the soldiers. Which picture are you on?
Okay, we went from the monastery to this one, right?
After the monastery, yeah, we've got the monastery, and then we've got the.
I was just looking at that monastery. It's like that monastery looks like it's almost they have to get food from somewhere. I mean, is it connected to underground tunnels or something? That was my thought when I looked at it. But anyway, go ahead.
Don't know. But I just thought it was interesting. So are you seeing the soldiers one, Kim?
Now I'm seeing the monastery.
Yeah, now I'm seeing the monastery. I was seeing the soldiers.
Oh,
talk about it.
Here we go. Oh, okay.
Okay, we got soldiers.
Right. So you've got this soldier that they say passed out because of the heat. Yeah, just him, right? So what my mate's saying is that the clones have been around for decades, and
that those guys are clones. I mean, I must admit, it's very impressive the way that they stand outside the front of the
without moving.
Without moving outside the front of the palace, and they reckon it takes training to do that. I mean, how come a fly doesn't land on their nose, or their arse doesn't get itchy or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this next one is from the Man Who Fell to Earth series that's just coming out. Notice the road. Why? Why?
That's what I was saying.
Is
it an overlook? Maybe it's an overlook right there.
Yeah, right. No, there's a couple of guys have put videos up saying that the Earth is much smaller than we think. That planes don't fly at 500 miles an hour; they fly at like 250 miles an hour. And it would make sense for people to build roads like this in order to make the driving distances longer. Now, when I was growing up in the UK, my mum always told me that country lanes were winding because if they made them straight, the horses would not, oh my God, look how far I've got to walk, rather than thinking they've just got to walk up as far as the bend and then go around the bend, which of course is all complete nut and nonsense.
I'll tell you what I got told. I got told a different story than that in the UK, which was that they were windy because the horses didn't have to climb up the hills. Like they made it windy so that the incline wasn't as steep, rather than the horse climbing something like that. that they'd
Right.
make it windy so it wouldn't be as steep for the horses.
Right.
I don't know if
Well,
you can hear
that,
my neighbor blowing off fireworks. Sorry.
no,
It's a
I can't.
holiday
But
weekend here.
yeah. Oh, of course, happy holidays. So of course you've got you can see my cursor, but you've got this car going up. It's going to come all the way around and down, and then it's going this way in order to go that way. You know what I mean? So makes no sense whatsoever. I just thought this was a good example to point that out. Now,
And then you got roads like the military road, which is like dead straight.
Yeah.
It just goes straight over the top, straight over the hills.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right, we Harry and I have done a lot on the dog. Us being the dog, higher self being the God. We are the reverse of God, which makes us the dog. I forget which quote unquote saint this dude is on the right, but this is a picture or a painting of one of the biblical saints. Here he is again. He's got the some type of cross in his hand. Dog man.
Looks
Here he
like
is again.
Anubis.
Yeah. Well, Anubis is a dog man, right? And then you have these connections. Remember this, D'Artagnan and the Three Musket Hounds. Why would they make a cartoon using people with the heads of dogs? And that reminded me of Animal Farm, because there's a lot of speculation that the human body is very, very similar to that of a pig, by way of skin coloration, layers of fats, hair, so on and so forth. And it's said, even cannibals have said that humans taste like pork. And of course, here you've got another depiction of George Orwell's Animal Farm. And then, of course, we got the nursery rhyme, the three little pigs and a big bad wolf. Well, the scary thing is this. Look at the eye. Look at the pig's eye. If that didn't say pig underneath, you would think that was a human eye.
That cannot be a pig eye.
That is a pig eye. That is a pig's eye. They've all got eyelashes. They're not so hairy on the chimpanzee, but I've noticed here in China, a lot of my students either don't have eyelashes or their eyelashes are extremely short. Very, very strange. You don't see people with the long eyelashes like we do in the West, but that is a pig's eye on the right. Yeah. Again, just something to think about. This is the latest series that's come out. It's called The Pentaverate. It's a Michael Myers. Watch it. It's a complete piss take of truthers, right? They're coming out and they're talking about secret societies and they're basically it's kind of written as a spoof, like a comedy, but they're coming out and they're telling you everything, even down to the shape of the earth, but it's all done in a spoof, piss take kind of style, right? I haven't figured out why
You said
Michael Myers. Mike Myers.
There's the MM.
I haven't figured out yet why we got a capital P, capital V, capital E, and capital E at the end, with all the others lowercase. You've got P, E, V, E, E. You've got three E's, and you've got the P and the V that are all uppercase, whereas the rest are lowercase. And of course,
we got pentacle.
333.
Yeah.
Penta is pentacle, but what's the
well, the Pentaverate, because there's five guys in this this so-called secret society since 1337. It's serious. I'm only on the second one. Someone brought it to my attention the other day. I watched the first two episodes last night because I wanted to bring you guys, I wanted to bring it to your attention. But yeah, it's complete and utter mockery. I mean, you would be very, very tempted to switch it off. Okay, now I'm not watching this, but you got to watch it.
Is
Like
it
that.
because 5 of Pentacles or something? I mean, I'm looking up, it said Pent, 5 of something, and Vera is truth. There's more to this.
Oh yeah. Right,
I'll
I've
have
got
to
two
think
more
about it.
slides. I've got two more slides to present, and then I'll stop the share. So I advertise mine and Harry's Proton mail. We put it under the in the show notes, and I tried to get in there yesterday. It's telling me you got 5 unread conversations, but it wants me to upgrade, right? Which means it wants me to pay. And not only is that very difficult to do from China, I ain't doing it. Why would I want to pay for an email? So I'm not going to be using this one anymore. I'm just going to use my personal email, which is right there. So I think it's genetically modified that would be responsible for those 5 emails, quite possibly.
Can you just bring your email address up again so I can write it down?
Yeah, it's right there. You've got my email address, Kim. You and I email each other all the time. That's the same
you just
one.
said you're changing it.
No, what I've said is I set the Proton one up purely and simply for the channel, so subscribers could contact me and Harry. Harry set his up, I set mine up, purely and simply so our subs could contact us. But you know, I'm not paying for for a bloody email. So this is you both. This is the one that both you girls and Harry, you all email me out anyway. So you guys have got this. I've got this email. This is just for the benefit of Jeanette and whoever else has emailed us. Just email me at this one, and I'll put it in the show notes as well. So right, so there you go. A lot there to think about, guys. What do you think?
I know, great presentation. I'm on Google with pentaverate, whatever.
Pentaverate.
Says it's made up of the. I don't know if I'm finding truth on here, but it's made up of the Queen of England, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, the Vatican, and Colonel Sanders before he went toes up. Cheney, also Cheney, and Vice President Joe Biden. So this must have been written a while ago, but Vice President Joe Biden is truly in control of this administration, and even worse, he is nothing more than a lackey of the ultra secret Pentaverate.
Yeah. Well, what they appear to be doing with this series or with this show is literally they're mocking all the stuff that we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years on our channels is all being mocked. They're basically, in the one hand, they're showing us that we're right, and on the other hand, they're taking the piss. They're mocking us.
They have to.
So, yeah, if any of the sheep will watch it, they would be laughing and going, "Oh, my mate talks about all this. He thinks it's all real." You know what I mean? Very, very clever how they've done it. Yeah.
And then
they do that all the time.
And then the other thing that they can do is say, "Oh yeah, you got that from that movie Pentaverate."
Yeah.
You picked that up from there. That's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because I was thinking about that the other day, how they have done this forever, where they show it to you in a movie, so they programmed your mind to think it cannot happen in reality, that only happens in movies. So then when somebody says that, you laugh because you've already seen it, but you've identified it with a movie, not reality. That's how they're doing it. They're keeping you from realizing anything, because you'll always identify it with where they've shown you it is, where they've programmed.
Yeah. And something that we've been speaking about on the last few podcasts are these movies and TV shows, i.e. Russian Doll. What was the other one? Everything Everywhere all at once. How it ends, where they're showing us these different timelines. Now, Logan over on Decode Your Reality did a great little presentation yesterday on decoding the Truman Show. He's already done one. This is part 2. And it shows you at the end of the Truman Show, the truth drops are insane. First of all, you've got Christ on the moon. This is when Truman kind of crashes his boat into the firmament. And the Christos guy is telling him, there's nothing out there that you're not going to find in here, kind of thing, because he doesn't want him to leave, right? Because once he leaves, it's the end of the show, right? That's been running all worldwide for years, basically all Truman's life. But the kicker for me is when Truman gets out, i.e. escaped from the Matrix, everybody, you see all these scenes of people in bars and that, they're all clapping, they're all cheering. They're not cheering for the show, they're cheering for Truman because he's got out. And then you have these two security guards watching it. They're in their office watching it on the TV, stuck in the face. And like you've got these years and years and years and years and years of the Truman Show that comes to an end. And these guys go, oh, well, it's the end of that. What's on this channel? And they literally just change channels. Okay, that's over. Let's see what else is on. I mean, and that speaks absolute volumes as to people's perception of this, not this reality, but their own reality. Their own reality. You know what I mean? And as I say, when Jim sent me that message the other day, that Nate means meat, I'm like, oh my God, Jim, you don't know what you've done, bro. You don't know, you don't know the implications of what you just told me. So huge shout out to Jimbo. Thanks for that, brother. Much love.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reincarnate. We are in we're in a meat suit, and they're telling you in the word incarnate or incarnation, a nation of quote unquote people that are in the car, in the nate, in the meat. Fucking mind blowing. But it's empowering. It's self-empowering as well, because when you look at what's been going on, especially over the last couple of years, and you understand who you really are, and that there's no such thing as fear, you just sit back and laugh at some of these people and what they're spouting. And source code, definitely watch source code, guys. I think it's from 2015, 2016. Definitely. We could actually do a whole show on that movie.
Yeah, it's interesting with, like you were saying, Truman Show, because there's watchers that come here, and I see them. It's like they come in hallways and they stand in this place, or they go to this place to watch us. And I call them watchers, but it's like they can choose who they want to watch here. It's just like we're channels on a TV for them. So I think that's literal too of what's going on. And when I sense them around me, I'm like, I say F off and get out of here. But they'll kind of insert themselves, like insert a hallway into your reality so they can sit there and watch you. You always feel like you're being watched anyway, so which we are.
Have you ever been sitting at home watching, let's just say watching a video or a movie or something, you're watching, and you see something out the corner of your eye and you look over, there's nothing there. I mean, how many times does that happen? Does that happen? And it happened to me. Happens to me regularly. Let me just tell you.
What I would really like is that Pentaverate. I'm just going to keep repronouncing it different ways to drive you crazy. Pentaverate. I would like everybody to watch it and put it out there all over the place that this is revealing the truth. Let's take over the narrative, because I think a lot of awake people have already been doing that. Okay, they're trying to tell us this, but we know the truth about this. So it's like, let's turn it on them. That's worked for them forever, and it's time for it to stop working. It has stopped working because people are watching stuff on Netflix and just like you're talking about, going, oh my God, this has got truth in it. So if that's a literal saying, oh, you conspiracy theorists are a joke, if that's what they're literally doing, I think we really need to turn that on them and say, no, we get what you're doing here.
But I get I get it that people have to be introduced to a concept in order for them to be able to perceive it. And one of the easiest ways to introduce somebody asleep to a concept is through humor.
Yeah,
Then their
without doubt.
subconscious can then process the so I don't think
That,
there's anything wrong with a movie like that. Like
no.
it allows people to perceive something that they haven't yet perceived.
Yeah, but
Well, I think
say in this
they're
one,
presenting it as
mocking.
humor, like it's a joke, though, right? That conspiracy theorists are a joke.
Oh, it's just mockery. It's just sheer mockery the way it's being presented. But it's the truth. They're giving you the truth, but they're giving it you in a spoof, kind of
Right, like it's
movie.
a joke and it's not real, and
Yeah,
like ha ha
yeah,
ha. You
yeah.
conspiracy theorists are so. That's what I mean. So I think we all need to call them out on their game and say,
Absolutely.
"Oh, well, we see how you're presenting this, but
But
thanks for giving us the truth bomb."
yeah, and again, looking at things in different languages is also something that I love to do. I mean, we call a TV a television, right? Tell lies to your vision. But in Chinese, a TV is dian shi. Well, if you break down the two characters, dian literally means electricity, and shi in this particular instance means to look at. Right? To look at, not to see. Can is to see. But sure, it means to look at. But people don't use that word as in a standalone character to look at something. You would use the word can, K-A-N, because sure also means yes in Chinese. But the dian shi, which is TV, literally means electricity, look at. You were talking about the watchers and how, we've been talking about how they play on words, and we just laughingly call it wordplay. I mean, I'll give you an example. This kid, 10 years old, goes to school one day, and his best mate's got this brand new wristwatch, and he's like, "Oh my God, how did you get that? Where'd you get that from?" He says, "Oh, my dad bought it for me." He says, "Why? It's not your birthday." He says, "Well, I'll tell you." He said, I went into mum and dad's bedroom, and they were doing it, and my dad told me to go away, and I said, "Why?" He said, "Look, if you go away," he says, I'll buy you that new watch that you want." So there you go. And so I got my new watch. So his mate's thinking, "I'm going to try that." So that night he's lying in bed, and he waits till his mum and dad go to bed, and the bed springs start squeaking. He gets up, he goes into the bedroom. His dad says, "What do you want?" He says, "I want to watch." His dad says, "Well, sit down and shut up." Now, just a play on the word watch. You were talking about the watchers, Anmarie. Yeah, okay, it's a limp joke, but it kind of puts things in perspective, especially when it comes to time, watch, wristwatch, watching. Yeah,
I can remember meeting somebody years ago called Neil, and I said to the guy, "What's your name?" And he said, "Neil." And I knelt down and said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Nobody's ever done that before. That's amazing." And I'm like, "Well, no, just heard you say Neil."
Yeah. It's
So
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm going back to television when you said television, because I'm thinking of that slide you showed with ship. And so ship is being named that because of the action. You're shipping something. And like tele is over a distance, but tele also, or telos means the end. So, and like telecast, so you telecast a show on television, cast a spell over a distance. But it feels like it's some kind of movement, like teleport, television, telephone, all these words. And it just feels like portals, it all feels like portals to me. So,
Well, look,
and these walkers coming in.
There's something else that I've been trying to find, and I can't find it. I don't know where I saw it. It was either on Telegram. I can't remember, but it was one picture, right? But it was split into four, and in each of the four quarters was a conductor, a orchestra conductor. And these guys were sweating like the proverbial pig. They'd loosen. They started up with a tie, and they'd loosen the tie, and they'd taken the jacket off, and they were sweating profusely. And all they're really doing is conducting the orchestra. Where's all that energy going? What are they? Because don't forget, a conductor stick is the same as a magic wand. There's no difference, right? You watch some of these conductors that start up, no, and halfway through they're throwing this fucking stick around and they're sweating, and where are they sending all this energy? And why do they get so? People will probably say, oh, it's emotion. They get emotional with the music, with the orchestra or whatever. No, I think there's more to it than that. Because they're not. If they were doing it with their finger, that's one. That's one thing. But they're holding a stick, for Christ's sake. They're holding a magic wand, and this brings you into casting a spell. TV stations broadcast. You just said the word telecast, Anmarie. It's all about casting a spell. You go fishing, you cast out your line. It's, mate, there's more to this than we actually perceive it to be, in my opinion.
There's a load to it. I mean,
yeah,
programming the programs that you're watching on channels, they're channeling the information to you. It's written in black and white.
Yeah, well, if you look at we've talked about this before, you look at the word program, to program the computers, program.
Yeah, and
but
then
a TV program's got the double ME, so it's program me, literally breaks down to program me when you're referring to a TV program, a TV show. Okay. So Jay Campbell's right. It's not hidden in plain sight. It's in plain sight. We just can't see it. Oh, for the most part, we just can't see it.
Can I change the subject for one sec?
Yeah, of course.
And just ask a question. So, have you guys ever had a dream about something that appeared to be you in a completely different setting, but appeared to be real?
Yeah.
Like completely different than your own life?
Yeah.
And was it significant?
Well, when you say completely different to your own life, I mean, I was in a. I'll briefly tell you, because this is quite spooky. Because when I told my brother about this, he said, "Nigel, I haven't got time to talk now." He said, "But I was there." I'm like, "You what?" This was a dream that I had a couple of years ago. What you would call a lucid dream, and I can still remember every bit of it. I was in a garden, a walled garden. We were on a pathway next to a very high brick wall, and on the right was a bit of lawn. Then there was a garden bed, and then there was another high wall. And we were walking towards the gate, which was quite a high wooden gate. And I was behind a guy and two girls, and the guy was in the middle, and the girls were either side, and they were all holding hands. I didn't see their face, and they were all walking towards the gate. And the guy opened the gate, and they walked out, and I walked out behind them. I was just on my way out as well, and we were in a cul-de-sac at a little end of a road, and there were people lying on the floor crying. Probably about a dozen or so people. And this guy and these two girls, they ran over to see what was going on. And there were girls and there were guys that were not crying. The girls were crying. And the guys were trying to comfort them and so on and so forth. And I thought, what the fuck's going on? So I turned around and I started walking back towards this garden to the gate. And these people were shouting at me, "Don't go in there. Don't, you fucking idiot. Don't go in there." And I just totally ignored them. And I walked in, the gate closed behind me. So now the lawn and the garden bed's on my left. So I starts walking down the path, and I looks over to the left, and there was this thing. You probably the best way for you to imagine it would be a demon. It's a little grey demon thing with big eyes, and it was looking at me, right? And as I took a step, this thing took a step. I took a step, it took a step. I took 2 steps, it took 2 steps, and it was constantly looking at me. And in the end, I'll say in the end, after a couple of minutes of this, I raised my hands in the air and I ran towards this thing, shouting, "Ah!" And this thing just fucking bolted, gone. And I spent the next however long it was, I mean, there's no time into that, but I spent a long time in that. It was a big garden looking for that thing, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And it turns out that all these people that were outside crying had seen this thing, and it scared them so much they didn't know what it was, and they were shitting themselves and crying, and they were all in a complete and utter mess. And yet all they ever had to do was raise up their arms and run towards it and scream, and this thing had run away, you know. Of course, the people out there that would say, "I command you in the name of Jesus." No, bullshit. You know, you just fuck off. These things only make you scared if you allow them to make you scared. But that was a couple of years ago. That was a couple of years ago, and I remember it vividly. And when I was telling my brother probably about a week or so ago, and he turned around and he said, "Bro, I was there." He said, "I haven't got time to talk now." He was in the middle of doing something. He said, "But I will fill you in." So interesting.
He was there with you. What about you, Anmarie?
He wasn't with me. I didn't see him. He could have been the guy in front of me. It could have been his wife and his daughter that he was holding hands, walking towards because I didn't see any of their faces. So he's got a grown up daughter. So it could have been my brother in front of me holding hands with his wife and his daughter, quite possibly. Don't know.
Yeah. You mean having dreams where you're somewhere else, but you're not in this life? Is that what you mean, Kim?
Yeah. Well, what happened to me is years ago, I had this dream that I was driving along the road in Sheffield. I know I was in Sheffield in England, and I don't live in England, and I haven't lived in England since I was 18, but I was driving along the road in Sheffield, and there was an atomic explosion. And I was in a car, and I was driving the car, and there was fallout on the windscreen. And when I tried to wash the black off the window, the black stuff that was pouring down the window, I tried to add water to it to wash it off my screen, and my windscreen wipers wouldn't work because it was too thick. And then it cleared a little bit, and then I saw the explosion, and then I came back into myself. But my thought was at the time that there was a portion of me in a different reality that had called upon me to come and assist the other part of me, to go through this trauma. And that once the trauma was done, I was back in the reality I was in.
Oh, that cool.
Makes sense.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if any of you'd had an experience like that, where you'd felt there's another part of you that had called upon yourself to assist yourself go through something.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I'm sure, because I have dreams all the time, crazy stuff.
With my demon experience, I think it was more to help me rather than help my other self, in that just to be shown that we're more powerful than we actually we're led to believe, not what we think we are. Society dumbs us down to make us, poor little me.
Yeah.
And it all goes to what we were talking about. I'm not gonna touch on it right now, but what we were talking about before we started recording. It's what you're taught to be, it's what you think you are, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Nigel, what do you do? Oh, I'm an English teacher. So what you're doing is you tend to relate your job or your profession with being who you are, and it's not who you are, it's what you are. you know, it's not. And again, we were talking about the straw man, and I'll throw this in now. I was watching, because I touched on it last time when I said I was listening to Crow 777, and that guy kept using the word create, which made me which led me to go to the Bible and look up the word as in God created man, and it's not. It's God chose man. That's what it is in the original Hebrew. But it's a really, really good episode. 409 for anyone interested. You get enough out of it in the first hour. You don't need to listen to the second hour. You got to be a member. So what he was talking about was the straw man, and this is going to lead into what we're going to do on our next podcast, Annie, with what we were talking about earlier, is that, you know, the only way that they can get it, they can do this in the West is because we have uppercase and lowercase letters in our alphabet. Anything uppercase creates the corporation. Well, here in China and you know, Vietnam and Cambodia and all the other Japan that use characters instead of what we know as letters, they don't have an uppercase and a lowercase. If they want to highlight something, that they just make it bold. You know, on a letter or a message, they just make it bold. As simple as that. Whereas we would, you know, I want something, and I want to emphasize the I would make it a capital. So they can get away with that in the West. They can't get away with it in the Asian countries because.
So can I ask a question in relation to the Asian countries? How does the legal system work then? Because the legal system in the Western world is all tied into the straw man. So do they not have the court and the? Yeah. They've got the same setup.
You can still, you know, you can still get you know, they've still got the court system and the legal system and so on and so forth. I mean, I've never really been involved in it. I don't really know how it works, but most of it is procedure, protocol, right? You've got to you got to do this to get this. So, and they have paperwork for the fucking paperwork. Here, it's absolutely ridiculous the amount of paperwork that they actually have in their system. But the other thing that's interesting is that when two people get married, unlike the West, where the wife usually takes the family name of the husband, they don't do that here. The name that you're given when you're born, you know, if you're born a lady, is the name that you still have, even if you've got married 10 times during your life. So if you get married, you know, it's you retain your own family name. Husband retains his, and when you have a child, the child adopts the father's family name, not the mother's family name, which again is really, 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 really interesting, the way that the whole system works. But in the same way that, you know, Kim is the name that people associate, or you associate with your meat suit, your Nate, your meat suit. The same with Nigel, Harry, Anmarie. That's not who you are. I mean, do we have a name, our inner self, our real self? Do we have a name? I don't know. If we did, what are the chances of remembering what that name is? What would happen if we could remember our real name rather than the name of the straw man? So even here in China, even though they don't create the straw man the same way that they do in the West, a person's Chinese name is still the name of their meat suit. It's not the name of who they are. You know what I mean? So it kind of blurs the lines a little bit. But it's interesting nonetheless. They can't create, you know, the name on your driving license is not in all capitals in China because they don't have capital letters. It's just your name. So this license belongs to me. You know, you're not the holder. You're not the holder of like you are the passport holder, the driving license holder. You're the license owner.
Have you ever typed your name into wordsmith.org anagram search, and it gives you all the names that could be made up of your name?
Oh, cool, because I
No, I
used to have to
haven't.
do that myself.
I
What
haven't
is
done
it?
that for a long
Wordsmith?
time.
Wordsmith.org.
Wordsmith.org?
Yeah, anagram.
Write
Just
that
click on
down.
anagram afterwards. I can give you the link to that. You can put it in the show notes if you want.
Okay.
But
Cool, because I used to do that for my own name, and if this does it for me, that's great. Then you can make sentences out of all of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Uh,
I mean, and the thing with anagrams, and where all this comes into Gematria, is, you know, you're using the same letters in a different order, so you're going to get the same result in Gematria, because all you've done, you just moved, you're using the same 5 or 6 letters, you've just moved them around. So, you know, this is where you're going to get these overlaps in Gematria with anagrams. Yeah, and that's very, very powerful. Very powerful. I've learned so much from Logan and Adam about and Zach about how Gematria works and how it all ties in with our own lives.
Will that
Yeah.
Wordsmith thing? I've just sent you the link to it.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Yeah, I'll have a look at that when we finish recording. But you know, when you kind of look back over your life and look at certain dates and certain times, and where you were born, when you were born, your parents' names, where you grew up. You know, I mean, I'll give you a few. I don't mind giving you a few examples, just to put it in perspective. I mean, if you go to Gematria, I use Chaldean a lot, but I also use the English. Nigel is 11 in English and he's 8 in Chaldean. My first and second name is 11 and 8 in Chaldean. My full name is 11 and 8 in Chaldean. Well, if you add 8 and 11 together, it comes to 19. 19 is the 8th prime. 1 and 9. I was born in 61. It's 1961 is 19 upside down. I was born on October the 1st. 10 and 1 is 11. October the 1st leaves 91 days to the end of the year. You know, my first child was born on 11/11. Growing up, I spent, we never moved house when I was a kid, not until I kind of grew up and left home. We lived at number 2. 1 and 1 is 2. The home phone number was 74047. 7 and 4 is 11. 7 is 11. You know, the connections, when I look back, look at my own name, my date of birth, and so on and so forth. You know, 19 is the sun card. I was born on a Sunday. These are not coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidence. This proves, well, not just this, because I've only just scratched the surface with what I've just told you, but it's certainly a lot of evidence to show that our lives are completely scripted. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Well, I'm gonna have to jump off here.
Okay,
So I really appreciate you coming on. I didn't know we were gonna do this, so I don't have anything ready, but
no, we
super interesting
really
stuff.
you.
Yeah,
We
super
really
interesting
appreciate
info.
you. Yeah, and
Thank you.
there's going to be a lot more coming in as well. The synchronicities that I'm seeing, and the synchronicities that some of our subscribers are seeing, because they're putting them in the comments. You know, it was Purple Petunia who made a comment in the last video, because I was referring to January 26th, which is when Admiral Byrd allegedly went, you know, on his 1947, and she said that's my birthday, January the 26th. Well, I got married very stupidly when I was like 18. Got married on January the 26th. Didn't last very long, couple of years. And later on in life, we got divorced. And later on in life, I got married to my second wife, and she'd already got a son from a previous relationship who was born on January the 26th, which is the same day that I got married to my first wife on. What are the chances? You know, what are the chances It's, you know, when you kind of think about, I know, yeah, we're getting into some personal stuff, but I really don't mind, because it's making a point, or it's not making a point, it's highlighting a point, that a lot of people in this community, many of them are not aware of it, and some people are. I mean, Logan does some fantastic work on Decode Your Reality. If you haven't gone to his YouTube channel and how to decode yourself, the channel's called Decode Your Reality. We're going to be doing another show, hopefully in a couple of weeks, Decoding the Playground #3. And
cool.
yeah, how to decode yourself. It's just over an hour long. You got to make notes, and you got to follow the instructions, and then you go off and do your own. You do your own thing. Now, I mean, another one is he talks a lot about phi. You know, the golden ratio, 1.61. Well, if you take your birthday and you go 161 days forward and 161 days back, you've now got 3 dates. Now what you've got to do is you've got to figure out what number day of the year they are. Like, oh, it's the 70th day of the year, or the 230th, or whatever. And you write those 3 numbers down. And then if either of those dates, if all those dates fall after February, then obviously you've got to add 3 more dates, or 3 more numbers for leap years. So, you know, what you'll find, you add up the numbers and they'll come to 161. I added up the 3 numbers from my date of birth, 161 days back, 161 days forward, and the result was 457. Well, 4 plus 5 plus 7 is 16. 457 plus 3 days for leap years is 460. 4 and 6 is 10. So it literally comes back to 161. I did that with my daughter, and it's the same. I think it's the same with everybody. You know, it's amazing. 161 days forward, 161 days back. Add up the numbers, and the chances are they're going to come to 161, or you're going to see 161. But it's all by accident. It's all by accident. It's all by accident. You know, something went bang a few million years ago, and here we all are, swamp creatures. You know,
coincidence.
It's absolutely insane. The levels are insane. And if you're not familiar with Logan's work, what he does, he brings in not only the pi and phi, but also the elements, the periodic table of elements, which is just another layer of the onion. And all that does, it just confirms what, you know, if I said something and you didn't believe me, and you asked Kim, Anmarie, and she confirmed it, right, then you'd know I was right. It's the same kind of thing with what Logan does. He presents the information based on numerology, not numerology, on Gematria, and then he backs it up with periodic table of elements and so on and so forth, and the tarot cards. And yeah, it's absolutely mind-blowing. But it's also very empowering in my opinion, because we're beginning to realize and beginning to understand who we are and where we are, what this place really is, and what we're doing here, you know. So
yeah,
right.
Enough rambling. I should let you go. It's your holiday today, sis. So you enjoy
I don't want
to
to interrupt your awesome thoughts there, but yeah, I gotta go.
All right.
But let's talk soon, and thanks everybody that's going to listen to this.
Yep.
And
thanks for listening.
Yep.
Yep. Let us know your
guys.
Oh, I want to hear the comments.
Yeah, and thanks for your support. I mean, the one that we did last week, the 4 of us, I mean, we got over 1,100 views after like 3 or 4 days. So, and the one that Harry and I just put up on the weekend, we're showing like 400 views, which is just, this just doesn't make sense. But
yeah, they're shadow banning you like they've been shadow banning me for a while. It's all up and down all over the place. So
thanks.
Don't worry about the views,
guys. No, I don't worry about anything. Thanks for your continued support, guys. We love you all. All the links will be below. Is this going up on your channel, or yeah, you're going to put this up on yours?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Yeah, well, this is just a suggestion. I mean, the one that we did last week, the four of us, where Harry came in late. I mean, I put that up on my channel. You put this one up on yours. I'll make a bumper, and we'll just alternate each time we get together with the 3 or 4 of us. You know, we just alternate, and that way we're going to get. I put a bumper on my channel. Most of my subs are probably subscribed to you and vice versa anyway. And if you're not, guys, you should be.
Do you want to put it on Kim's channel this time, or Kim, do you want it on your channel, or you rather me just put it up?
Yeah, sure. Just send it to me and I'll put it up on mine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, it was
cool.
mainly your
All right.
YouTube's presentation. So, okay, so I'll get this all processed and everything, and then I'll send it to you.
Beautiful.
Great stuff. All right.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your
Alright.
day.
We'll both put a
Cheery,
bumper
bye.
up for your
you,
channel.
guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, love.
Yeah, I'll put it.
All right.
All right. Much love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.